This is stuff Genndy Tartakovsky almost made, but didn't. Part 1. Korgoth the Barbarian, the show. The pilot is amazing. I always wish Adult Swim had enough money or could have figured out how to make this show happen. Samurai Jack, the movie, produced by J.J. Abrams. Popeye. This was Genndy's passion project. There was some test footage that was released in 2014 that I think ignited everyone else's passion for it. And then we even got the animatic version, which leaked last year, on what it possibly could have been, but unfortunately it didn't happen at Sony, and we never got Genndy's Popeye, which I think probably could have been one of his greats. A dialogue-less film about dinosaurs that was originally set up at Illumination, which then through development eventually became that Walking with Dinosaurs movie in 2013. Stuff Genndy Tartakovsky almost made, but didn't. Part 2. Astro Boy in 2004. This was going to be a hybrid of live-action animatronics and CG and sounded really cool. The Power of Dark Crystal. This would have taken place 100 years after the movie, but that didn't happen, but the script was turned into a comic book later. A movie about Vikings. I'm not exactly sure what the title of this was supposed to be. Maybe just Vikings. It's about two Viking brothers that went their separate ways. One became a farmer and the other a warrior, and all the art that's come out from it looks amazing. Genndy Tartakovsky almost made, but didn't. Part 3. Superman. This one was suggested by a lot of you in the comments, and I didn't know about it till now, so thank you. Genndy revealed on Instagram that he'd done 2 sketches, or at least he revealed 2 sketches of a Superman short that people were interested in him doing. No word on what year or when exactly, and it seemed to have fallen apart pretty quickly, but at least we have these 2 sketches and the idea that a Superman cartoon, which I assume would probably be like a Fleischer Brothers thing, from Genndy would actually be incredibly cool. Can you imagine? Describe as a trip through one boy's imagination. With Primal premiering this week, I wanted to talk about Genndy Tartakovsky's other kind of big dream project that never happened and the history of that. It was Genndy Tartakovsky's Popeye. And if you watch the video that Sony Animation put out, you got the idea that he loved Popeye since he was a little kid. It meant a lot to him. He loved doing physical humor, which you could see he really liked seeing how audiences reacted to it when he made the Hotel Transylvania films, which I both heard in interviews and in the video itself, which you can still find online. And then he released this like test footage, which wasn't ever going to be in the movie if it had finished, from my understanding, of what a Popeye cartoon would look like under Sony Animation. It was beautiful, it was amazing. Every animation nerd was freaking out at the time. It was everything I wanted from a Popeye thing. And I think one of the other things about it is it's not so much that it was just Genndy's dream project. Popeye was a major cartoon of the Fleischer Studios, and Fleischer was as big as Disney when they were running until they had to end and become famous studios. But basically what happened is Sony didn't want this movie to happen. There's no other reason. When the Sony hack happened, we got a lot revealed to us about why this movie got canceled. And it seems to me, and there's one email, and it's kind of I read some of these emails before, but I wanted to read, this is from Bob Osher to Amy Pascal. Amy Pascal was not really for this movie, and I know what happened to her with the Sony hack. It was really unfair. I don't think she's the great executive people act like she is post what happened with the Sony hack, but they weren't really into her right before, and I don't think she's the greatest. But this is kind of sums up because she was emailing everyone. She emailed Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and they were like, this is a great idea. She basically would just find executives who agreed with her opinion on this, because there's a lot of people saying this could really work, and we need to do right by Genndy, because Genndy wasn't being treated very well by the studio. He was just doing Hotel Transylvania movies. He was being a good company guy. He wasn't being dismissive to Adam Sandler and all those people, which is probably takes a lot of talent to do that. I thought the Hotel Transylvania films improved each time, and you can see because this didn't work out, he had a certain physicality in Hotel Transylvania 3, and I think that's the best one of the 3 films because he brought that to that film, and they gave him more creative control each time. But this is an email, and it's very telling of all that. I had a conversation with Genndy yesterday where he made it clear that he is concerned that if the studio doesn't move forward with Popeye, that our commitment to animation and to him is not strong. He feels that his original ideas will never get made, which definitely has happened at this point. That's not in there, I'm just adding that. Because his other projects will never get made because of marketing concerns, which is one of the main reasons, by the way, that Amy Pascal canceled this. She actually contacted marketing people from Disney and other studios to make sure this didn't happen. This is not being crazy or anything like that. His view is Popeye is well known and loved around the world, and his version will be modern in attitude, dialogue, comedy, and action, but the physical world should be timeless. The kids in the focus group, this is interesting, in the focus group were strong, and worrying about a general audience who rarely attend animated features is misguided. Yeah, it is, because kids were into it. They did a focus group, and I don't understand this. They will come if the movie is funny and it sticks to its DNA. When we show the test animation and online or in focus groups, we get a very positive response. He has been an amazing trooper on Hotel T2, which is what they say in this email, working through the Sandler camp's multiple notes, including to his animation choices. I think a word of support from you would be helpful. She didn't do that, and then basically he left the project, and there are other people supposed to be involved, and to my understanding it's not happening. Genndy kind of moved on and is very kind of pragmatic about it, acting like it isn't happening, and his other project, Can You Imagine, didn't happen either, and we know less about what that happened, but knowing what happened with Sony, I can only imagine. I think Sony has basically wasted him, and Adult Swim seems to know what to do with Genndy Tartakovsky. I find it really upsetting that they don't really know what to do with Genndy Tartakovsky. They should know what to do with him. They kind of lost one of the great animated features, and when I watch it, yes, Popeye was going to be more of an animation nerd movie, but the fact that they had this really talented person and they knew they weren't treating him very well, and through these emails it's very clear they all know that and know what he had to put up with and didn't kind of reward him, is upsetting. I don't know why he never went to Pixar, but it's sad to see what happened with Popeye. But I think what we learned from this is that Genndy has always been this amazing animator, and I know everyone's talking about him with Primal, but it's sad that he's had to waste so much time at Sony, and I think Popeye could have been his great animation push forward, but I think it's also because Popeye used to be at the forefront of animation, pushing forward and making these amazing two-reelers for the Fleischer studio and doing things with Fleischer and making amazing parts of animation. And he has not gotten to do that since the Fleischer studio ended. And for everyone who loves animation history, Genndy was trying to bring that back, and this would have been a huge, amazing feat had he been able to do it. And unfortunately, Sony robbed animation history of that, but also robbed Genndy Tartakovsky of a great, amazing dream project. And it's a real shame, because I've watched that test footage about once a year, and I kind of get bummed, because I feel like the Robert Altman movie didn't get the spirit of the animated Popeye, but Genndy Tartakovsky did with this test footage, and I really wish it would have happened, but unfortunately it didn't because of Sony's short-sightedness. And this is, by the way, the same regime who made those Andrew Garfield Spider-Man films, and clearly they really didn't know what to do with it. I hope Tom Rothman and people at Sony find a way to bring it back one day, but unfortunately this is probably, of our kind of generation of the 2010s, probably the great animated feature that we wish had happened.